about something that a lot of people don't realize. This is going to be a very short live stream. You see, when we talk about the Sahel today, we talk about Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger building his own military academy, training his own military officers, building his own institution, building his own infrastructure. I'm talking about logistic infrastructure like pavement of road, buying of equipment, and Captain Ibrahim Traore making speeches to encourage the people to build their nation. We're seeing the patriotic immersion program. We're seeing Faso Mebo. Now, when you see this indigenous innovative methodologies to the rebuilding of the Sahelian empire, a lot of people think that this is new. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not completely new. Now, they think Africa is now learning to stand on its own feet. That is the message that some people want to build, that Africa is learning to stand on its feet again. No, Africa is not learning to stand on its feet. You see, that is where the mistake is. Africa has always stood on its feet before the colonizers came. Because long before France set their foot in the Sahel region, Mali was not just a kingdom, Mali was a civilization. If you want to know one of the greatest civilizations that the world has ever known, the Malian Empire was one of the greatest civilization that the world has ever known. So don't be perturbed that these people, they are leaving the International Criminal Court, they are building their own Sahelian criminal court. They said they gave a presidential pardon to Ian Vesili. This is part of the cultural heritage of these people. They have been before the European civilization came to Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Mali was not just an empire, it was a civilization. Now, one of the things that you will notice about every great civilization is that the West, the Babylonians, they always want to destroy every civilization that has always existed in the past. They are fighting the Persians now. Remember, they made a movie about Mali, and they said there is this country in Africa, in West Africa, called Mali, and all of that. And I will tell you today why the Europeans are very much, and the West entirely, why they are very, very interested in Mali. Even Russia knows about the legends of Mali, ladies and gentlemen. And when I talk about Mali, Mali did not just exist as this Mali that you know today. Mali existed, when you say something is an empire and it has an emperor, Burkina Faso was the Mosi tribe. They were a part of Mali. Senegal was a part of Mali. So Mali was very, very big. It's like you're talking about the Oyo Empire in Nigeria, the Nigeria of today. It was a very big empire that extended to Benin Republic, Togo. So today, family, I will take you back to the developments that really, really helped the world understand the greatness of Mali. Now that Mali is facing this problem did not exist in isolation. It is because the world knows the type of country that Mali is. I remember a French politician saying that Mali must never be allowed to reach its true potential, because they know that these people have the capability of being great. You can't take that away from them. Now, back to Mali, that the textbook continuously forgets, because there was a Mali that modern day books did not write about, that they did not tell you about. First of all, after the Battle of Kirina, because Mali was an empire, and empires, they go to war, they win. The Malian Empire under Mansa Sakura had one of the finest cavalries in Africa. According to information, some of the cavalries of Mali, they were parts of the cavalry units that defeated the Europeans in the Battle of Sudan. Now, I want you to start as far back as 1236. That is how long the Malian Empire has existed. Even before religion came to Africa. Before religion came to Africa, Mali was here. So the question we Africans should be asking is, what life did our people live? What did they serve? Because come to think of it, the development, the education, the mentality, the technology, the science, as at that time, we don't have that same quality today. Are we a people that has forgotten who we are? Have we abandoned our true cultural heritage? Because any river or stream that abandon its origin would dry. And that is why it seems as though today Africa cannot produce anything. Because we are not looking at what we've once done and we are not developing on it. We are not improving on it. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1236, because that is when, according to information from the founders of the Malian Empire, and who was the founder of the Malian Empire? This was a great man. I mean, a lot of people call him a legend. They call him Sondiata Keita. That was the founder of the Malian Empire. He assembled his allies at a palace called Kurukanfuga. After his great victory at the Battle of Kirina, and there, ladies and gentlemen, they proclaimed what we call the Kurukanfuga Charter, which is now translated as the Mundane Charter. Now, why does this matter? Because this charter was a constitution. So Africa had constitution. Africa had government. Africa had their own type of governing system before the West came to Africa. We had our own language. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into it. This is a very beautiful story. So, why does this matter? This charter was a constitution for the Malian Empire. And it was not just about who held power. It affirmed human rights. It protected the freedom of movement of people and property. It laid down the rules of society. How leaders govern was written in this constitution called the Kurukanfuga Charter. So there was governance before the French came to Mali. How women should be respected. A lot of our society don't even know how women should be treated or respected today in 2026. How the vulnerables have been protected. You see, this was a legal document that was passed down orally through the griots for centuries. You remember that the French wanted to burn all these manuscripts when they conquered Mali, and they were looking for these scripts in Timbuktu. They wanted to destroy it, to wipe out the history of a civilization that once was. Ladies and gentlemen, that many historians consider as one of the earliest constitution, not the one that they wrote in Paris, one of the earliest constitution in human history. That is the Kurukanfuga Charter. They called it a charter. They did not call it a constitution at the time. But if you look at the documents, if you look at the content, you will know this was a constitution and a declaration of human rights in recorded history. And in 2009, UNESCO recognized the Kurukanfuga Charter as the constitution, one of the oldest constitution in human history. That is UNESCO. They inscribe it the Kurukanfuga Charter on the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, when people tell you that human rights is a Western idea, that Africa borrowed human rights, that Africans were wearing leaves and all of that, that is not true. Know your history. I want you to remember the Kurukanfuga Charter today. The principles were already here in 1236. At that time, the French, when they want to take a cheat, they cheat in the streets of Paris. Are we communicating? When the French, when they feel pressed, they go to the street of Dunkirk in France. They go to the street of Charlemagne. They had nothing like toilet sewer system. But are you aware that drainage system and sewer system existed in Mali long before the Europeans knew anything about this? How did the Europeans, how do they clean up? They wear their long robes and they go under the steps. They take whatever they want to do, and the slaves will go there and clean up the place. It was a dry cleaning methodology. Then, after cleaning the place, other French chiefs will come down and use the same place. Now, they don't have the French people don't bath. In 1236, the French did not even know how to bathe themselves. And I will explain to you why. The reason why the French did not bathe in 1236, they were smelly people. The reason was because they claimed that they were Christians. And it was assumed at the time that if you are a Christian, you were supposed to be baptized. So it was seen as a taboo by the Europeans that when you clean up yourself by bathing, you have washed away your Christianity, because baptism was equivalent to you being a Christian. And that was how they created perfume. I'm telling you histories that you should know now. This was how perfume came to existence. Because the French people, for the fact that they were not bathing, they were very, very smelly. And they did not want to wash away their symbol of Christianity at the time, which was baptism. So they had to invent the perfume. At that time, the perfume was not these things that you spray in your body. It was made in a jar. So you pour it on your body to save the lives of people from a lot of airborne, effusions that would have killed a lot of people. They were smelling. They had no toilet. It was always on the streets. That was in 1236. But these are the history they don't want you to know. In 1236, from the foundation of Mali came learning. And I want you to understand this. According to information, verified document of history, the University of Sankore in Timbuktu, Mali, the same Timbuktu the French wanted to bomb, because Timbuktu holds one of the deepest, undiluted history of the Malian Empire. That place you call Timbuktu, it is a monument in Mali. You see that a lot of tourists used to travel to Timbuktu. They call the University of Sankore in Timbuktu. It was fully operational in the 1300s. 1300s. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the 21st century. Mali already had universities in the 1300s. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand the gravity of what I'm talking about now. Why much of Europe was still trying to figure out what university system looked like? Because they did not have any university. In 1300, Mali already had a university that was functional. Timbuktu was running 3 great centers of learning. They did not just have one single institution, they had 3. They had one in Sankore and they had 2 other satellite campuses in 1300. Oh my goodness. In 1300, what did they teach? Because that is another premise to this conclusion. They taught astronomy at the time. They taught mathematics. And they taught law. They taught medicine. So we were treating ourselves before the Europeans came. They taught philosophy in 1300. Look at these courses. Astronomy, they taught mathematics, they taught law, they taught medicine, they taught philosophy. In 1300s. Now, you see, and I'm not talking about a small gathering. We are talking about an institution that housed thousands of students and scholars. And the manuscripts, hundreds of thousands of the manuscripts for lecture in the 1300s are still in Mali today, ladies and gentlemen. You see, that is not a story of a people who needs to be civilized. If Mali was so civilized at this point, ladies and gentlemen, so we have to ask the question, what type of civilization did the Europeans bring to Africa? This is a true story of a people who were already ahead of time. But the Europeans came through religion. The Arabs came through religion. And the objective of religion was to demonize our civilizational development. To call it barbaric, to call it evil, to call it demonic. And they imposed their hatred and backwardness. Now you see people in Africa beating their wives. But as far back as the 1300, how to respect women and how to treat women was already enshrined in the Kurukanfuga Charter as early as 1236, long before the Europeans even knew what a Kano was. So the question today is, who are we? Where are we coming from? A lot of things that represent cultural heritage, we've lost it. But you know the luck that we have. There is something called gene pool. We still carry the genetic code of those ancestors. So that is why some of us, we are able to do certain things, which a lot of people will look at it that this thing is impossible. How is he so talented to have been able to do these things? It is because of gene pool. You've not lost the magic of those ancestors. It's still there. We have to be wary of everything that the colonizers gave us. We have to be very careful. A people that kidnapped your ancestors and tied their hand and placed them in zoos where they were bananas was being thrown at them, you know, and they gave you a doctored Bible and a Quran. Come to think of it, does it even make any sense? And they told you that, oh, now you are saved. Now you are free. Now you are the son of God. Don't worry. You have mansion waiting for you in heaven. Abandon your gold. Abandon your uranium. Abandon your lithium. Abandon your humanity. There is a house waiting for you, whose street is lined with emerald. But your own emerald that is here. Let me tell you something. I believe that the objective of imperialism and colonization was not to colonize Africa, it was to completely destroy Africans. You see, if they were telling you about heaven, this was where they were talking about. But how they did not eradicate and obliterate Africans, I still don't know. How they were not able to succeed with that mission, I can't phantom when I sit down and I think about it. Because till this day, the evil continues. From the biological weapon perspective, from the chemical weapon perspective, agricultural weaponization through GMO mosquitoes, COVID, Ebola, it has not stopped. You see that heaven that they doctored in a book for you, that you have gold and emerald, and you have virgins that will surround you in that heaven is your country. That country where you don't have no natural disaster. That is where that heaven is. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget your heritage. Don't forget your identity. Now, the funny aspect of the whole thing is the infrastructure. Because people assume, oh, pre-colonial Africa had no roads. They had no planning. They had no architecture. When you go to Europe, you see fine, fine buildings. You know, it seems as though that they forgot that the Malian Empire had paved roads. You know, there are trade routes that connected Timbuktu to the coast of West Africa, to the Sahara and to the markets of Cairo in Egypt and beyond. They were maintained. According to information, the roads were cleared and they were maintained by the imperial army of the Malian Empire. So we had paved roads in the 12th century, protected by the empire. You want to talk about logistics and supply line? The Malian Empire understood logistics, and before logistics even had a name, they already practiced logistic system. And according to information, the logistic route was being protected by the Malian army at that time. And then there were architectures. Credit to the builders of that era. The Gingerboa Mosque in Timbuktu. That's why I said Timbuktu is in itself a monument in Mali. It was built in 1327. This is crazy. 1327. And that mosque still stands today. A mosque that was built in 1327. I'm coming somewhere. It still stands in 2026. Mud, brick, and timber was all they used to build the mosque. If you look at my thumbnail for this video, you will see that mosque, this Gingerboa Mosque. You are going to see it there on the thumbnail of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, it was designed for climate and built to last for several hundreds of years. In Jene, in Gao, they built the same thing. These were not huts. These were engineered cities. And the style, the Sudano-Sahelian design, was so advanced that it still influences architecture across the region today. According to information from history, in the 1330s, that's 1330, the Malian architectures that was used in building the mosques and the museums in Timbuktu were exported to Sudan and Egypt to design the modern day pyramids. This is surprising. This is surprising. Now, if you look at, let me explain something to you. If you look at the pyramid and you look at those mosques in Mali, they were all built with mud bricks and timber. Mud bricks. That was what was used to build the pyramids. Unfortunately, the pyramids in Sudan now, most of them are They are wearing away. But the pyramids in Egypt are still standing. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason why you can trace these architectural wonders back to one people, and that is the black people. Because if the so-called Egyptians of today, if they were the ones that built the pyramid, they should repeat it. They, you see, and come to think of it, everybody talk about it. Everybody normally talk about the Egyptian medicine. Mali was already teaching medicine in the 1200s. Don't you see that there was an ethnic cleansing that happened across the continent of Africa at a certain time in history? You don't know? I think a lot of people need to study history. Now, when you talk about gold, you cannot talk about gold without talking about the pre-colonial Mali. You cannot talk about pre-colonial Mali without talking about gold, because at its peak, Mali was producing a significant portion of the entire world's gold. According to information, Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man who ever lived, by many accounts, reportedly put so much gold into the economy on his pilgrimage that it shifted markets in Cairo for years. You see, the wealth was here in Mali. It was always here. The question was who controlled it. According to information, Sondiata Keita and Mansa Musa traveled to Haiti, traveled to Barbados, traveled to Northern America, all through the 1300s in human history. Look at this man. So the question we should ask ourselves. Now, they said, some historians says as much as half of the gold circulating in the old world came from the Malian Empire. Now, we should ask ourselves, in the 1300, how did these men... Now, for them to sell the gold, they had to travel. They had to travel. Now, I don't know the currency that Mali used in exchanging. Maybe those people will pay them something and, they will give them gold in return. And Mansa Musa already told the Americans, the Latin Americans at that time. Ladies and gentlemen, the question is, how did these men travel? How did they travel in the 1300s? Man, ladies and gentlemen, the question is who controlled the gold and who took it? You see, the glory of Mali walks hand in hand with her dome. Because Mansa Musa, Mansa Sakura, Sondiata Keita, you can't have so much money and you control the economy of the world. Because according to the information, they said more than half of the world gold came from Mali. So if we were to turn back the wrongs of time and we are to decide which country is richer based on the resources they have, if mineral resources, most especially gold, was to be equivalent to wealth, you know that Mali would be a top 5 country when it comes to wealth in the world. It's undisputed. You know where DRC will be. You know where South Africa will be. They stole so much that they remain to this day from Africa. Now, and even in sanitation, I want you to hear this clearly. City like Timbuktu, Jene, they had drainage system, they had sanitation system, urban planning, waste management. They built sewer with pine woods. So, according to information, they cut the pine woods and they put the pine woods together and they will bind the pine woods. So, through this pine woods was where the human sewers were passing through the drainage network they had urban planning, and they had waste management. Why much of Europe was still throwing its problems into the streets? You know what they mean by problems, right? We don't need to use some type of language here. Europe was still throwing its problems on the streets. Mali already had all this. These cities were managing their engineering. It's not a small detail, family. It tells you the level of organization that existed in these places before the imperialists came. And there was a reason why the imperialists came. The imperialists were marveled by the developments, by the organization, and the improvement that was already going on in Africa. When they saw the pyramids, when they saw the architecture, when they saw the artworks, when they saw the artifacts, they could not just help themselves, but send their missionaries and all those fools that came to Africa, and there was so much for them to steal from Africa. Now, here's the thing. All of that, the charter, the universities, the roads, the architecture, the gold, the sanitation, all of it existed before the French arrived in Mali. And when the colonial project came, it did not build Mali from the scratch. It dismantled what Mali already had. It disrupted, it redirected the wealth, restructured the education, and reoriented the armies. The French didn't train a region that had nothing. They replaced institutions that were already there with systems that served Paris instead of the people of Mali. So with regards to today, when we see Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger opening their own military schools, training their own officers, replacing the old French strategic training programs with their own indigenous training programs, I don't think we should see it as something new. I think we should see it as a return of self-reliance, a return to the institutions that were built by Africans for Africans. The Po Academy, the new officer schools in Burkina Faso. This is not the first time this region has educated its own self. It is simply the latest chapter of the very old story. This is just a continuation of the legend that once was. So when you see Ibrahim Traore, you see Simi Goita, you see Abdurrahmani Chiani, and you look at their wealth of experience when it comes to matters of history, ladies and gentlemen, these are throwback leaders. These are not the leaders that we have today. These are throwback leaders. And it should not be a surprise that this region end up producing some of these leaders, because these were a civilization on their own, and not just a civilization. The children of these people, they still carry the gene pool of Mansa Musa, of Sondiata Keita. They carry the gene of those people till this day. That gene has not been eradicated. Now, a lot of people they have been asking me, why have I not talked about the Anglophone Afrique? I saw this message from some of our South African brothers that watch our channel. They said, why have I not talked about the Anglophone Afrique? Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I have not talked about the Anglophone Afrique is simple. You see, the Francophone Afrique has a well-documented history of brutal colonial repression. And the reason is simple. If Africa will be free, it will start from the Francophone Afrique. This is a documented pattern from history. It will not start from Anglophone Afrique. Listen to me, family. The Anglophone Afrique was methodically colonized in such a way that you have more people that will defend Western civilization to their death in Anglophone Afrique. They would defend Western core values to their grave in Anglophone Africa. But it is very, very easy to awaken revolution in the Francophone Africa. Remember what the French minister said. The French minister said something. They said, you cannot allow Mali, Burkina Faso, and Chad. They did not, they did not mention Niger. They said Mali, Burkina Faso, and Chad. You cannot allow those three to be independent. There is a reason why they said that. It was Sankara. Sankara was killed. Somebody else came. Look at the first leader, the first civilian president of Mali. Look at the character he had. Look at Sankara. Then look at Traore. How many times have we seen revolutionary leaders emerge? See, look, listen. There is a difference between a revolutionary leader that came through the ballot and all of that. Like revolutionary leaders that are ready to take power, that are ready to confront the order, displace the order, and make sure that they restore the glory of their region. You don't have that happening in Anglophone Africa. You can never have such in Anglophone Africa because they see themselves as civilized people and they so much welcome the Western cultural heritage. Most of the Anglophone countries in Africa, they have demonized their cultural heritage. But look at the Sahelian countries. If Ibrahim Traore can say that traditional medicine should be allowed to breathe, if Ibrahim Traore can say traditionalists should be allowed to practice their religion, can't you see that? In Nigeria today, if you go to the wedding registry, if you go to anywhere, they will tell you, what is your religion? Christianity or Muslim? They don't even recognize their own traditional religion. So that is to tell you the extent of cultural destabilization. So, if you are going to have a revolution, it will not be in the Anglophone Africa. It will be in the Francophone Africa. That is why you see that they are the most terrorized. That is why you see that they are the most oppressed. If you take the corruption of men like Tinubu and the rest from Anglophone Africa, you are still breathing. A little bit, you are still breathing. Are you aware of what was happening in the Francophone Africa? They could not even defend their people with rifles. Their military had to defend their people with sticks, with bamboo. They had to defend their people. A soldier that was wearing camouflage had to defend the country with a stick. It is to tell you that the colonizers understood that the pattern, look, they understood that the colonization can never be complete with the Francophone Africa. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. The colonizers understood that with the Francophone, the colonization was never complete and it will never be complete. He produced Sankara. Again, they produced Traore. How many times did Assimi Goïta take power in Mali? He took it twice. Undisputed. With French forces on the ground, he took it twice. Look at Niger. See, I think a lot of people are getting this thing twisted. In Niger had the worst. See, the way France was removed from Niger was the worst of its kind. And you know the behavior of the Hausa people now. You know the behavior of the Hausa people. They climbed the embassy. They told the French, we are giving you 7 days to leave. If you don't leave, we will overrun this place. Ladies and gentlemen, the French were condemned and disgraced out of Niger Republic. Is it Abdurrahman Chiani that sends the French out of Niger? It is the people. So a single leader cannot send out the French. No, you cannot do it. Are you getting what I'm saying? It took the people. Look at the Wanyanyas in Burkina Faso, right? It took the people of Niger to drive out the French. That was complete revolution. See, that's what you call revolution. Not when a leader tell you that I want us to go in this direction. The people were already on their way. The leaders just came to front the line, and there they go. It's easy. See, if you put an Anglophone country in front of me now, and you put Francophone country in front of me, I would rather rule a Francophone country than rule an Anglophone country. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I would rather rule a Francophone country than rule an Anglophone country. Do you know how corrupt Anglophones are? It's almost impossible for you to rule an Anglophone state. Almost impossible. Because they were colonized by people that understood what colonization was all about. And that was the British Empire. It's like telling a Christian to abandon Christianity. He will look at you as if you are possessed. He will tell you you need prayer and fasting. Most of them have died while fasting. There was a pastor in Ibadan that went to a lion zoo and said he wanted to reproduce the magic of Daniel. The lion, the lion devastated him. And he died. So the colonization was more complete on the Anglophone bloc. France did their best in the Francophone bloc, but those people, they don't listen. No, they did not. They did not accept the colonization. That was why France did not only kill revolutionary leaders in the Francophone blocs, they made sure they disappeared their body. Victor Biakaboda in Ivory Coast, they made sure they disappeared the body. In Angola, in DRC, Patrice Lumumba, they made sure that they disappeared the body. It was only the body of Thomas Sankara that they could not take away. Sekou Touré of Guinea. So, but when you talk about Anglophone Africa, no. How many revolutionaries have stood up? Even if they stand up, I'm telling you, it's not for revolution. It is because maybe their salary was not paid or something. See, we have different capacity. There are people that have the capacity of a village. There are people that have the capacity to rule an household. There are people that have the capacity to rule a town, a city. There are people that are born with the capacity of a nation. Have you heard Traore speak? This man said that before he sleeps, he thinks about every child in Burkina Faso. And he asks himself the question, how are they sleeping? Are they able to sleep? If they cannot sleep, then it does not have peace. Nigerians were protesting. Akpabio, the Senate president, said, be out there fooling yourself. We will be inside. We'll be eating rice and jollof. We'll be eating rice and stew. It's too different. The gulf is clear. So, and a lot of people will come and say, oh, it's Russia propaganda, is this. How many people in Anglophone Africa can designate themselves to stand in front of the presidential palace and make a declaration that before you get to our president, you have to go through us? I'm telling you, if there are people there, maybe it's because they want to eat. Maybe they are hungry at home and they are there. Hey, Baba, you give them money. Or something, in fact, they might be the first to take you out. If Traore has not been taken out in Burkina Faso, it is not because anybody is invincible. It's because this is one of a kind. Look at how the Malian people felt when they lost General Sadio Camara. Look at how the Malian people felt. Look at how pained they were. That means they loved him. And his sacrifice was never forgotten. In Anglophone Africa, if you die, the Muslims will say, Hina ilahi, hina ilahi rajihu. You, so for God you came, to God you have returned. The Christians will say, oh Lord, is gone. You want to be the Messiah of Anglophone Africa, you will die a very dangerous death. You think that they will give an Anglophone person 10,000 US dollars? The money they gave to the security guard of Traore to take him out, the money he took to Traore to go and show him that they paid him to take him out. You think you will pay somebody from an Anglophone Africa and he won't think twice? You are just one man to an Anglophone Africa. Like, this is the most diabolic part of Africa. The Anglophone Africa. You see, the thing about the colonization of Anglophone Africa is that they made them believe that accepting Western culture is you being civilized, is you being normal. And part of Western culture is you being a thief. So if you see Yahoo and you see all of these things in Anglophone Africa, it is because it is part of what the West gives to them. You have to be a thief to be a civilized person. Who are the people ruling the country? Professors, doctors. These are Western, certifications. These are Western attestations of credibility in learning and character. But what product does it translate to the life of the people? It's easier to rule and sleep with your two eyes closed in the Francophone Africa than the Anglophone Africa. I remember the last time they bombed some terrorists in the Anglophone Africa. There was a lot of condemnation. In the Anglophone Nigeria here, there was a lot of condemnation to our military. Have you seen the reaction of the Burkinabe and the Malian people every time terrorists are being killed? Why do you think they are not doing this program of repentance Boko Haram there? Because they have the political support of their people. Go after the terrorists and knock them out. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason why they are being troubled like that. So this is why I focus more on the Francophone Africa than the Anglophone Africa. People in the Anglophone Africa only want to hear about sweet life, Rolls Royce Phantom, Bentley Bentiaga. They want to, it's just good life. It has to be good life. Anglophone? No, don't do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it. The people in the Francophone bloc, I have seen these people. I have listened to them. Omar Keita is from the Francophone bloc. I have never seen brothers that have supported the cause like that before in my life. Some of the biggest supporters of this platform are from the United, and I know majority are from the US, UK, and Canada, and all over the rest of the countries of the world. But ladies and gentlemen, some of the most hardcore, hardline supporters I have seen for this cause, they are from the Francophone bloc. Not because it concerns them directly. Some of those people are in diaspora. But because naturally they are like that. Naturally they are like that. Look at the Wanyinya program. Look at what they said. The president said, Faso Mebo, come and develop your country yourself. Come and build your country yourself. You think you will put interlocking for Nigerians? You will tell Nigerians to come and lay interlocking blocks. You will tell the great Nigerian people, you want to be a black Jesus. You tell the great Nigerian people to come and put interlocking to build their own roads that they want to drive their car on. No, it's not their, they will tell you it's not their work now. That there is a reason why you are the president. You are getting paid. There should be people. In fact, they will lecture you because they are the most civilized in Africa. They will lecture you. No, under the so section so of the subsection so you are supposed to do this thing. It is part of your civil duty and all of that. But look at Burkina Faso. Look at Mali. They are doing Faso Mebo. They are building their country by themselves. They are not being paid for it though. They are doing it by themselves. And according to one of their people, they said they are not competing with anybody. They are going at their own pace. You will hardly get this in Anglophone Africa. So to that brother in South Africa that said, I don't normally talk about Anglophone Africa. What is there to talk about in Anglophone Africa? In Anglophone Africa, they negotiate with terrorists. In Francophone Africa, they don't negotiate with terrorists. Can't you see the disparity? It's a gulf. It's too wide. There is nothing to talk about. The British juju must be stronger. The British colonized Africans too much. Too much. Too much. How do you know an Anglophone that is so educated? That's a simple question. That's the last question I want to ask now. How do you identify an Anglophone African individual that is well educated? They show you the value of their education through the English they speak. Like they will be like, okay, speak English. You are, oh yeah, speak English. That's what my people, they like, oh yeah, speak English. When you speak the English, maybe you'll be like, in it, they will be like, did you hear what he said? You are not educated, Joe. That's how they estimate their own education. In Mali, people are speaking their native dialects, as now they are using it more than French. They speak their native dialect. The Hausa, the Nigerian people, their official language is Hausa. That is their official language. What is the official language of the Ghanaians? Because now the Ghanaians are not even speaking only English. You will start speaking Arabic and you start learning Chinese. What is the native language of the Ghanaians? If you speak Hausa in Nigeria, you are seen as an animal. Doesn't know how to speak English. Do you understand English? Where did you finish your education? Where did you graduate from? Huh? If you speak your native dialect in Nigeria, you are seen as nothing better than a fool, like a village recruit. You know, the difference is just clear. I'm telling you now. I am telling you now. The difference is clear. The Francophone Africa is ready to move. They are on the move already. They are running. They are not waiting. Captain Ibrahim Traore said they are in the 18th century. You can be in your 21st century. Look at the music that is being played in the Anglophone Afrique bloc. Go and listen to all the lyrics. It has nothing to do with nation building. It has nothing to do with, making the people unite. It does not talk about the problem of the people. They have sexualized women through music. See, there is nothing to talk about in the Anglophone Afrique. Go and listen to most of the music. I'm telling you, if a child if he makes a bicycle in Mali, most of them, that child is already a celebrity. In Burkina Faso, if you can manufacture a bicycle, you are seen as a celebrity. In Anglophone Africa, if you manufacture a bicycle, you are seen as a fool. Nobody, maybe they will clap for you. That's the best. Nobody wants to know you. The only thing they want to know is, oh, how many houses have you bought? How many? You will die and you will leave all those things. I'm just letting you know now. None of those things will depart with you. If you look at the pathway towards success in Anglophone Africa, the pathway towards success is somehow. It's somehow. The gradient is not clear at all. The pathway towards success. Most of the advice you will hear is that just make it. Just make it. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be guided. This is 2026. How many people can come out and tell us how they made their money? And sit down and be like, okay, this is how I made my money. And your story can actually educate another person and influence another person to believe in that little beginning. You will hardly find all those things in Anglophone Africa. Anglophone Africa, just go and make the money. They asked the Nigerian politician, Dino Melaye, how did you make this money you are making? Do you know what he said? He said he was buying and selling. He said he started he started making his money through the buying and selling of a goat. A goat. Dino Melaye. And you have some Nigerians. These are the people they worship. Ah, he's too rich. The color of is this. Just make the money. Okay, Nigerians are saying that they've had enough of Tinubu. When Peter Obi came out and he was talking about governance, did you know what the same Nigerian youths that said they wanted good governance, do you know what they said? You cannot be a good person in Anglophone Africa. You have to be a criminal to rule in Anglophone Africa. I'm being serious with you. You have to be a villain for you to be a leader in Anglophone Africa. They said Peter Obi is just talking nonsense. That if you want to be the president of Nigeria, you to spend money. What do you mean as a youth? You are facing problem. You are the ones that face the biggest part of the bad product of bad governance. And you are saying whoever wants to rule you should spend money. That means you are sending a message to him that he must buy his way into office. And when he buys his way into office and is now fulfilling the agenda of the West, who are you to talk? At this point, with the level of insecurity in this country, with the level of political marginalization in this country, marginalization on different levels, let me tell you the truth. Nigerians should not even vote for people based on money. You should vote based on integrity. Have you not seen enough? Have you not seen enough? The money you had last month, most of it is gone. You pray you don't fall sick in Nigeria. You might die. If you fall sick in Nigeria, as an average Nigerian now, is Ghostbusters, you are going. Do you know how much it is to be on the bed for a night in National Orthopedic Hospital? It's 140,000 naira now for you to spend a night on the bed. So that's 2 nights. That's 280,000. You cannot afford. No, 70% of Nigerians cannot afford it. What am I saying? 90% of Nigerians cannot afford a 240,000 naira bed fee for 2 nights. Who you be? Where you 1 day for bed, 2 nights, 280,000 naira. 90% of Nigerians cannot afford it. Calculate it by a week. One of your biggest prayer in Anglophone Afrique now is that God, please don't let me fall sick. I'm not talking about common malaria. I'm talking about real sickness. You won't make it out. Look at Burkina Faso. Captain Ibrahim Traore went to the extent of even making sure he provide mobile hospital for those people. Medical care at your doorstep. Do you know that for the mobile hospital, you know it's free? I hope you know it's free for the mobile hospital. You can run CT scan for half the price in Burkina Faso. MRI scan in some places in Burkina Faso is free. If they tell you MRI scan in a place like Nigeria, you are finished. If you hear MRI, you are done because you don't have the money. You don't have the money. Childbearing in Burkina Faso is free. So if your wife is pregnant to give birth, it's free. That is a government that is working. Do you know how many mobile hospitals they have? They carry out surgeries in those mobile hospitals. Do you know how many orthopedic surgeons they have? Their road construction. They are not giving it to the Lebanese or the French. They are doing it. Burkinabe engineers. They are professors. The professors in their universities. They are engineering professors. They are the one constructing the road and all of that. They are students in the university. Their internship is doing all those things by themselves. Why Burkina? Can I explain why Russia helps Burkina? Thank you for that question. Let me tell you something. You need to collaborate on so many levels. Now there are some technologies. There are some mental transfer of knowledge that needs to be done. And what has the West done? The West said no to Burkina Faso, that they are not ready to collaborate with Burkina Faso. Because come to think of it, what will be the essence of the West staying in Burkina Faso for a very long time? You know, if they transfer technology to Burkina Faso. The West are never willing to transfer any. Tell me one technology that the West has successfully transferred to Africans. Nothing. So why should Africans partner with the West? So they are partnering with Russia because Russia is helping them to develop even more in the field of agriculture, in the field of medicine, in the field of training. I'm talking about proper training. I believe a lot of people as of now, they have seen what the African Corps is doing in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. In drone piloting, are you aware that they are now training a drone unit, like military drone units in Burkina Faso, like a battalion for drone, for drone piloting. And when Russia sells most of their, capabilities to Burkina Faso, they need to send their operators to Burkina Faso for transfer of technology, training and maintenance for, a period of time. So Russia is helping them on so many levels in medicine. And Burkina Faso is going towards having the mobile nuclear energy capability. They are now going towards nuclear energy. And not just nuclear energy, they are going in the field of nuclear medicine. And part of the cooperation that Captain Ibrahim Traore had with Russia, Roscosmos, is that uh, they sent a lot of students from Burkina Faso. First of all, Russia told Burkina Faso that they have 200 scholarship slots. So Captain Ibrahim Traore said, when Vladimir Putin asked from Captain Ibrahim Traore that, what do you want us to do for you? Then Captain Ibrahim Traore said, we are not here to beg for money. We are not here to ask for aid. We want you to help us in the field of mining, engineering, nuclear medicine. He said mostly engineering. And Vladimir Putin said, you have 200 before, now I'm going to add another 200 to the scholarship. That is students. That is not Captain Ibrahim Traore keeping money in his pocket. That is another 200 Burkinabes that are going to enjoy the benefit of free education in Russia. And there was an agreement that was signed. When you enjoy the benefit of that education, you are supposed to come back to Burkina Faso to come and show the people your expertise. The purpose of gaining that education in the first place is to better the life of the people. If you want financial prosperity, learn a skill, and you have to make sure that that skill you are learning is an answer to one of the biggest problems that the people have. Money will come. So when they go to Russia, they will have to come back to Burkina Faso and show that expertise. That is why Burkina Faso now, as an African country, is now producing a lot of things. But yet, some of the giant countries in Africa, they cannot even produce a bathroom slippers. What am I talking about? Nigeria has not been able to produce toothpick. And you know the funny thing, it is not because they don't have the expertise to produce a toothpick. You see this? We don't produce it. This is a flux. As small as it is, they call Nigeria the giant of Africa. We don't produce flux. We import flux. Look, made in China. This flux is made in China. It's made in China. This is China here. It's made in China. And we are the giant of Africa. Who told you that we are the giant of Africa? We don't make anything. We don't produce anything. If you start producing it, people will not even buy. Except even when you produce it, you have to change. Instead of putting your own name that made in Nigeria, you have to use maybe a foreign name, made in New Zealand, made in Finland. The type of education they received. That's why I said colonization was complete in Anglophone part of Africa. It is when you say it is made outside Africa, that's when they will look at it that it should be original. It's not made in Nigeria. It's not made in Africa. It should be original. If you tell them it's made in Africa, they will not buy it. Some Africans are cursed. If you want to go and buy a phone in Nigeria, there is a particular phone. There are some particular phones, they call them London use. Oh, what did imperialism do to Africa? So when you get to the phone store, they will tell you there are two types of phones. They will tell you brand new, fairly used, and UK use. After brand new is UK use. What does UK use mean? It means that somebody in the UK used the phone. That's the first class citizen. And they transported it. Maybe they were tired of using it or something happened to the phone. So they sent it to Africa. So they will tell you if you cannot afford the new one, it's better you buy the UK use. The brainwashing is on a whole nother level. Africa has been reduced to nothing. In fact, some people prefer buying second-hand. I remember back in 2020 when I took my car to the mechanic and I wanted to change my plugs. The mechanic said it's better you buy Tokumbo. Tokumbo means something that is like saying foreign used. If you want to buy tire, they will tell you it's better you buy Tokumbo. They have used it outside, overseas. That's Tokumbo. They have used it overseas. Now they are bringing it to Africa. They will tell you it lasts longer. See, it is hey, this is a very dangerous mentality to have. You don't believe in a brand new one is not good, but you believe that the one that a white man has used is better and it will last longer because a white man has used it, because you believe your own head is not correct And because a white man has used it, that white man, his head is correct. And he knows that that thing is good. That was why he bought it and he used it. Then now that he can no longer use it, white men, they don't use things to the level that that thing will get destroyed. So they have passed it on. You as a black man now, as a second class human being that you are, you will now go and buy that one that white man has used and is tired of using. That's the level of colonization in Anglophone Africa. Thank you, family. I really appreciate your coming today. So, when people ask me that why do I support Francophone Africa, ladies and gentlemen, I support them spirit, soul, and body. It is easy to support them. Are you communicating with me? It is easy to support Francophone Africa. Becky Taki, that is a top Malian journalism platform. They have recognized the Android community for our work. Becky Taki 234 or something like that. I've got Gmail from the Malian ORTM. I've gotten a thank you Gmail from them. I have talked to correspondent of RTB, Burkina Faso television. This is how much this is how much gratefulness these people have. I've spoken to Abdou Niang of Mali. These are top bloggers over there who tell me that they love what I do. But in Anglophone Africa, if you are not riding on it's just two different worlds entirely. It's easy to fight and die for Francophone Africa than Anglophone Africa. Nobody, don't go and say you are a black Jesus in Anglophone Africa. You die for nothing, no. I'm telling you. I love those people. They are grateful. They will sit down, they will make videos, and they will appreciate everybody that is supporting them all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I just love them as a people. They are different. And this is why I support them. And I will continue to support them. So if you're a Malian, you are a Burkinabe, you are a Beninois, you are a Togolese, Ivorian, you are watching me now, I will continue to support you. As long as you remain on the right path. You are simply the hope of Africa now. Let's call a spade a spade. You are simply the hope of Africa, nothing else. Is it President Tinubu that is the hope of Africa? Abi Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast that is the hope of Africa? Or the the man that is older than the atomic bomb in Cameroon that is the hope of Africa? Is it Pompeo that is the hope of Africa? So, come to think of it, these guys are the hope of Africa. Even if President Abdurrahmani Chiani is old, man, these men are doing so much for Africa. And it is just in our own interest to support them, to support their struggle. Because their struggle is genuine and is real. These people are honest. I applaud them. And to every one of you supporting them, here in Africa and in diaspora, I really appreciate you. I salute your courage. Because it's not easy. When you sit down every day and you see some of the bad news, you see the good news, the courage you have to still try to see the light in the struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, I salute your courage, honestly. And to everybody that you don't have to necessarily walk in our shoes in Africa. Yes, you don't necessarily have to walk in our shoes, but you still try to join us in our struggle and you share in our pain. Ladies and gentlemen, God will reward you. I cannot reward you. but God will reward you. Thank you, and God bless you. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to us. This is our story. This is our history. You necessarily don't have to get involved, but you take your time to support us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.